Macon, Georgia, at the Macon Mounds. Here at Serpent Mound, this is one of the earthworks here at the park. Here with Brandon, Austin. Yes, we back to the mounds again. Out here. That's right. Tail and the serpent. Camera, little man.
He's looking for his 15 minutes of fame. That may be a nut.
Live, Etheoryal.
Hell yeah.
From the Grand Canyon, sunset.
You already know, man. Vortex work, you know what I mean? Studying the planet, geological shit, you know what I mean?
That's right.
This whole time. Look at this sight,
Yeah.
I don't gotta say nothing. Good enough.
Look at that. Look at that drop, y'all. This is the Grand Canyon. We got bats. We got the wildlife around. We out here. Check that sunset out, y'all.
000144000.
We out here. fly. And we out.
1,000 years ago. Our current theory is that it came in from the east at a 60-degree angle, traveling at this incredible speed of 26,000 miles an hour. At that speed, it would have left the crater close to 700 feet deep. But now, due mainly to wind erosion, the crater is 550 feet deep. It's also 2 3/4 miles around and almost a mile across. Just a few analogies. The Washington Monument could stand on the floor, and right now we'd be eye level to the top of it. A 60-story building, and even the downtown San Francisco could fit inside the crater. The meteorite itself went through almost total disintegration. It obliterated, fragmenting, melting, vaporizing, and ultimately disintegrating, and hitting with an explosive force greater than 20 megatons of TNT. The first people out here that we know of, what history tells us, of course, were the Native Americans, the Navajos, the Hopis, the Pueblo Indians, thousands of years ago. But the very first documented human interaction was a man by the name of Franklin Benitez, who was an army scout in the 1800s. He didn't think much of the crater at the time, but he spent a lot of time in the area. And a lot of the locals that did know him and knew of the crater would refer to it as Franklin's Hole. It wasn't until this Hispanic shepherd, and of course he would have to be an Hispanic, right? Come on, you guys, with a name like Eduardo. I'm just saying, keeping it lively a little. It wasn't until this Latino, oh, that's right, this year we're Latinos. Last year we were Hispanic, I forgot. When I was in college we were Chicanos. Now I'm totally confused. Holland's going, wow, what's going on? It wasn't until this Latino, Hispanic, Chicano kind of guy, we like to bounce a lot, Philadelphia. You can see us from miles away. Found a good sized chunk of what he thought might be silver. He keeps it, but when he turns it in to have it analyzed, they discover it isn't silver at all. But in fact, 92% iron, 7% nickel, and the 1% trace element. What you and I know today is meteorite. The chief geologist was a guy by the name of G.K. Gilbert. Gilbert hears about the Shepherd's Find. He comes out here, looks at the crater, and concludes that this was a result of a volcano. Gilbert did not get it right because there wasn't much information on impact sites or the tools. But he was a chief geologist, a good one, very well respected by the scientific community. I guess the crater was one of his first screw-ups. It was downhill after that for the guy. Another Geraldo Rivera, but they take his word for it, and this crater is abandoned once again. It wasn't until 1902 that a man by the name of Daniel Moreau Berenger, a Philadelphia mining engineer, decides to come check out the crater. And you'll hear his name a lot in the museum and in the movie. When Mr. Berenger arrives here, he immediately says this is an impact structure. This had to have been caused by a meteorite. So he takes action. He goes back home. He files for mining claims to the government on the land that the crater sits on, and he's going to find the meteorite. He was out to change our scientific way of thinking and prove once and for all that this was an impact crater. When I get through here in just a few minutes, what you'll be looking at, if you haven't already, and there are 4 levels of viewing with telescopes, is what Mr. Berenger left behind. Some of what he left behind. That's what you'll be looking at. Right in the middle is where he starts looking. The white area is your Coconino sandstone, and that's where the main shaft is. It goes down 200 feet. It's about 10 feet by 10 feet wide. There's a steam boiler and a cable winch to the left, and there's a American flag and an African flag to the right. On the right side corner. And that's just a reminder that NASA trained here before going to the moon. The reason they trained here was geology. Most of the astronauts were pilots, but they needed to get their hands dirty a little bit before going to the moon so that they could recognize an impact crater if and when they reach the moon. The moon, just like the Earth, has both, but a lot more. And in order to identify one, they had to kind of do their homework here. The rest, of course, is history. Mr. Barringer spends 27 years, 100 years ago, looking for this meteorite and finds almost nothing. The year 1929, the beginning of the Depression, the stock market is crashed, and Mr. Barringer goes back home to Philadelphia. He dies that year, unfortunately, and when he does, his children inherit the crater. And they keep it. Back then, if you mine land for 10 years or more, regardless of the location, regardless of its locale, it was yours. So it becomes theirs. So then what happens? Well, a couple of things have happened. Arizona has finally become a state. 1912. The Grand Canyon has just been acquired by the government and turned into a national park. The crater is up for grabs. The Barringers approached the government to see if they're interested, and their reaction was, "We already have one big hole in the ground. It's a lot bigger than yours. Thank you, but no." So the Barringers keep their big hole in the ground. So then what happens? I'll tell you. The Barty Bar Ranch comes into the picture. That's the land that surrounds the crater, all the way around. It's one of the oldest and the second biggest cattle ranches in Arizona today. About 300,000 acres. And back then it was made up of two families, the Chilsons and the Tremaine. They go into a long-term lease with the Barringers, and in 1955 form Meteor Crater Enterprises. In fact, that's who employs me out here today as their head tour guide, as their tour guide director, or I guess one of their public speakers. Someday they can't shut me up. Everything from the RV park to the facilities here, we're privately owned, operated, maintained. Always has been that way. It wasn't until the early 1960s that the late Dr. Shoemaker proved to the world this was an impact crater. In 1968, the Department of the Interior declared the crater a natural landmark. Today it's still the best preserved and is still owned by the Barringers out Philadelphia. The enterprise is owned and operated by a separate group of people started by the ranch 65 years ago. That's your history as I know it and up to date. And then real quick, before I let you go, the geology. Geology was the answer to a lot of questions regarding whether this was or wasn't an impact crater. Look at the color of rock that we have. We have 3 layers in 3 colors that forms the upper crust of the earth out here. 2 of those layers have been exposed by the impact. We have dark brown, we have light brown, and then we have the white. It should be in that order geographically, but here everything is upside down. First, the dark brown. That's called Moenkopi. It's a sandstone like the boulders that you saw as you were driving in, and it should be the top layer. It was formed after the dinosaurs, 240 million years ago. That's the top and youngest layer. Underneath it, the color changes instantly to a much lighter color. That's called kaibab. It's a limestone. Once the ocean floor out here, when this was all underwater, 250 million years ago. And then you have the coconino, the third and the very white. It's a sandstone, 260 million. So we've got Moenkopi, okay. Moenkopi. See, I'm really a little white boy. Now you can call me Eddie. Forget Eduardo, he's nobody. I look like a panda bear by the end of the summer. So you got Moenkopi, kaibab, coconino. Ooh, close call. That's what we can see. But as we go further down towards the core of the earth, journey to the center of the earth, we have what we call our Supai Formation. And finally, we hit our first water table, our aquifer, where we get our drinking and bathing water out here today from our 700-foot deep well. My point, when the meteorite hits the earth, it makes contact, it plunges, it penetrates, it uplifts, it compresses, it flips over. All in 10 seconds. Now we have a crater, but we also have what we call inverted stratigraphy. And in the geology world, all that means is that everything is upside down. If you have one and you have another, you've got to have a third one. if you have a crater and you have this reverse strata, you got to have an impact. One is indicative to the other. And that's where Dr. Shoemaker comes in. He did the science, he did the math, and then he compared the Nevada nuclear sites to this one on a bigger scale. And that put the frosting, well, the frosting was the discovery of coesite and stishovite. The reverse strata was just an eye-opener, but the icing was discovering coesite and stishovite by the same man, Dr. Shoemaker, the same year, 1961. These are two minerals that can only be formed under the intense pressure equivalent to that of a meteorite. The only other way you're going to find these two minerals is if they're man-made in a lab. Since then, 194 other craters have been proven throughout the world. And yes, sir.
How does this crater size-wise compared with the atomic craters up in Nevada?
The atomic, well, and that's pretty much the same. It was this atomic. It would have been 20 megatons of TNT, so that would be about 1,000 times greater than Hiroshima, if you can calculate that.
1,000 times.
This
1,000 times
particular
greater.
one?
This one, So it had a lot of power, yeah. The movie's filmed out here. Meteor with Sean Connery and Natalie Wood, Damnation Alley with George Peppard, and of course Starman with Jeff Bridges. More recently, we've had a lot of film crews from all over, National Geographic, Discovery Channel. There seems to be more interest on this kind of thing than ever before. But the cool thing is that this interest happens to be happening during our lifetime. This pretty much concludes my presentation, my tour guide talk. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for visiting. And most of all, I just want to say, God bless you. Thank you very much.
Etheoryal here from Bell Rock Park in Sedona, Arizona.
Hell yeah, with the juniper tree, man.
That's right.
Vortex, that's how you know it's a vortex. Because it twists. See the spiral in the tree? That's how you know. We on the side of, what's it, Bell Rock? Bell Rock Mountain. Live, broadcasting, bringing this to y'all on the vortex. Don't get no better than this. Until we start making this galactic release to the other planets. 144,000. Etheoryal. Spiral on the walls. We see it. We hear. That's the spirals for the vortex. They marked it.
We in the vortex.
Because you can see the draw and people writing. That's different.
Yep. It's engraved.
What, you trying to show this?
Yeah, let's get a close up.
Look at this. It's engraved into it. It's a perfect look. This is the vortex, y'all. Ethereal.
Oh wait, this is recording. Hold on. That's the video. Not bad. How we do. Guys out here. Slide rock, baby. Hey. Go. We got them. Great. Here's Slide Rock, Arizona.
National Park.
Back again. Check it out.
Cliff Palace.
Cliff Palace.
We got a couple of spiraling junipers. That's how you know.
Buffalo.
The ancestors always knew where the vortexes were. You know
That's
what I'm
right.
saying? We knew where to build our stuff. And when it was time to move, we moved. You know what I'm saying? Vortex work. Ethereal all day. Yeah, this is what we do.
That's right.
This is proof of your roots. Proof of your roots. That's the whole planet. Now we did. Start from the bottom now.
Cliff Palace. Ethereal. We out here. We out here. Checking them out. Mesa Verde, Colorado out here. Gotta get a little sunset on the mountain.
One of the spiritual pits right here.
Yep.
They did a lot of stuff.
Did a lot.
They did some shit. I'm sure they got into it as well.
Yep. Mesa Verde.